Hello everyone, and I welcome you all to Vidhigya, and it has been my pleasure to have Professor Dr. Kaushik Guhathakurta with us today, and he is a professor at IIM Indore. And I know it is difficult once we talk about career planning in life, और बहुत मुश्किल होता है एक 10वीं पढ़ने वाले बच्चे को या 12वीं पढ़ने वाले बच्चे को अपने करियर के बारे में डिसाइड करना, बट क्या क्या चैलेंजेस हम सोचते हैं और किस तरह से हमको अपना करियर प्लान करना चाहिए. आई थिंक देयर इज़ नो अदर पर्सन अदर देन हिम, एंड आई वेलकम डॉक्टर प्रोफेसर Kaushik Guhathakurta to us today on our podcast, and I'm very much thankful that he has taken out time for this event.
Thank you.
सर, मुझे आपसे ये जानना था कि करियर प्लानिंग बच्चे बड़े कंफ्यूज रहते हैं आज के, और स्पेशली यू नो विद कोविड हैपेंड एंड दीज डेज आई हैव सीन लॉट ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स कि उनमें तो सोशल मीडिया से जो डिप्रेशन बहुत ज़्यादा आ जाता है, तो दे डोंट इवन थिंक बियॉन्ड कि करियर किस तरह से हमें प्लान करना चाहिए.
नहीं, एक बात तो है, एक्चुअली there are pros and cons of this present world. You know, this technological disruption, as we say. Information overload is a con, is a pro, is a con. So, but at the same time, why do we have information overload is because there are also more opportunities. There are so many things happening in the world, you know. When you think of career, जैसे कुछ साल पहले लोग सोचते थे, तो there were some fixed domains.
Right.
So now these domains are no longer fixed.
Right.
So the world is yours if you want it.
Okay.
So first step is not to get too much perturbed with information overload. You know, one thing is that there would be a lot of garbage information also available in the internet and other sources. जो बच्चे अक्सर देखते हैं, there'll be bloggers, there'll be vloggers and all that. So actually, you know, so first thing that they have to know, or they have to seek guidance from people who know also, that the background of the person who's giving the information is important. How competent is that person? Who is telling me? Is he established in some profession and talking about that profession, or is he somebody who is with experience? Because that is what matters, because otherwise there will be information clutter. And about removing confusion and all, what is important during 10th and 12th is first concentrate on your own studies. Make your fundamentals very strong.
Right.
You see, I used to be consultant in a farm long back. I was very young at that time. I was a graduate engineer. Just after engineering, I was working. With some associated with some SME farms and all. So one of the managing directors once told me that if you do your 12th very carefully, 11th and 12th,
right,
if you put in the effort there, you can live on it for the rest of your life. So, that could be an exaggeration, but that is what is important. If your fundamentals are weak, and later on, whichever career you choose, you have to actually fall back on your fundamental knowledge, because our brain is equipped that way. The way we can receive information up to, say, 18 years of age, it becomes different as we grow up in life.
Right.
So if there is a gap there, it's impossible to fill up. So instead of getting too much bothered about which career to take, at 10th one has to be clear about one's aptitude. Whether humanities is good for me, whether science is good for me, or whether commerce is good for me.
So how do they pick and choose?
Firstly, the people, especially parents, should come out of the mind block that there is only career in engineering, doctor, and now maybe someone is thinking about law also, legal profession. These three had been traditionally. But the question is, don't put pressure on your child to be in one.
Yeah, basically you're trying to say that don't let them make that ye hole hai and you have to fit in there. You can excel in different fields also, and these
Absolutely.
days I think there is so many different fields which has come up and which were not there previously. These days the fields that have come up.
And career will not be a problem for somebody who's grounded in
Right.
in the way, during the right time. I mean, during school days and all.
What does this grounding actually include, sir?
Grounding means that, as I said, there's no, alternative to the fact that your fundamentals must be strong. So when you are studying class 10th, concentrate on your studies, and take help of your teachers, take help of experienced people. I think now some school, I mean, sadly enough, India didn't have this culture of counseling.
Right.
Now I think career counseling is available. So what is important at 10th stage is to understand your aptitude. ये करना मुझे अच्छा लगता है. And this is where I'm picking up also. So वो बच्चे को खुद ही पता चलता है. Once you give them the proper encouragement.
Right.
तुम्हें ये करना है ऐसा नहीं है, सब कुछ का बेसिक फंडामेंटल तुम क्लियर कर लो. ऐसा नहीं है कि मैथ्स नहीं करूँगा. मैथ्स भी करो, इंग्लिश भी करो, सोशल साइंस भी करो. But during that time, you will understand what gives you the kick.
Right.
ये मुझे सबसे अच्छा लगता है.
Like for me, I remembered for a very long duration, I never used to understand that reading books was something that I enjoyed doing. So maybe I did not explore it at a younger age. Had I been, so बहुत अच्छा रहता. But I'm definitely sure there must be something which helps you in your career path and taking the right decisions.
And reading books, for example, is very important. I mean, जो भी पसंद है पढ़ लो. And they should not be discouraged. You should not be too much of monitoring. I mean, the parents and other people should be there to guide them, but they should not be too much controlling.
Yes, because let them be what they are. Let them
They should
grow as
blossom.
they are.
And very important to decide the aptitude of the child. What fits the child? I mean, because after 10 they have to choose, right? That's their first choice.
Right.
And that choice is very critical. Because if you get into science without having aptitude for science, you'll end up, then the studies themselves will become, and then maybe you'll be put off for the whole of your life.
Right. And they become overloaded with, those subjects. Their life becomes miserable and they don't even enjoy it. And then suddenly they realize कि मुझे तो इसमें करियर बनाना ही नहीं है. और वो बोलते हैं ना, इंडिया में एक बात है कि पहले हम या तो इंजीनियरिंग करते फिर सोचते कि करना क्या है.
So that should not be the case. I mean, because nowadays all the careers have, in every career you can reach the pinnacle.
Right.
Yeah, so it's obviously much better to be an excellent school teacher than becoming a very bad engineer.
Right.
So ultimately you'll be a loser.
So, sir, with your experience at IIM, can you tell us that how, students are, once they come from the first year when they are entering the college, how they are groomed there? What is done with them?
In IIM, there are, right now in our institute, there are two programs. Mainly IIM was named for a postgraduate program, right? MBA. Now, there's a difference in postgraduate program that they've already come through some sort of grooming. So the challenge in the first year in a postgraduate program is because management is a discipline which rarely you have a undergraduate discipline, which comes. So you come from engineering, commerce, and different background. The challenge is to unlearn a lot of things and relearn with a new perspective. Look at with a new worldview.
Right. This concept of unlearning, I remember. That is very important because once you are there, you have certain things in your head and unlearn करना उतना ही ज़रूरी है, नहीं तो जो आप आगे करने वाले हो वो आपको समझ में भी नहीं आएगा. And there will be a lot of difficulties because ultimately the objective or the purpose for which you are there is not served. Right. तो ये एक बहुत important aspect है which as youths in India you should remember that concept of it's not just about learning, but the concept of unlearning is equally important.
Absolutely. To build a new perspective. Now in IIMs, what we have an orientation session. So there are two aspects to it. One is building a perspective and also introducing them to the pedagogy. Because pedagogy of management is different, than maybe what they have learned. A lot of case-based, learning. So how to use a case study properly, how to come prepared to class, and what is expected of them. So the expectation must be made clear right from the beginning to the students, you know, why you are doing this program, and at the end of it, what do we expect from you. So right from day one, they understand, yeah.
So I was just saying there, sir, that you teach students about finance and other things, but आपको नहीं लगता इंडिया में at a very less age नहीं बताते finance के बारे में, मतलब लोगों को at the age of 30 they realize that financial planning is also something, जो मुझे लगता है कि you should be aware about financial planning at a very young age. Maybe at the age of 20 you should be aware that financial planning भी कुछ होती है life में, because then you have lot of years to build on those things.
Yeah, I mean, personal finance is something, and since we are living in a world which is dominated by economics, you know,
Right.
because we are living in a techno-economic world, it's not so simple anymore. And finance is there in our life, chahe ya na chahe. Because, you know, everybody is holding a plastic card.
Right.
The moment you are holding a plastic card, you become a member of the finance community with or without you wanting it.
Right.
So, and there are complications in this world. So, an early introduction into some concepts really help to build their practical understanding. You know, how banks operate, or what do? You open a. So, whenever they are ready, you should open a bank account for your child.
Right.
So they know about the banking procedure.
Right.
And I think a habit of, you know, expenditure control should be developed right from the beginning, that you set up goals for your children, you know. So at an early age they understand that it's important to save, it's important to keep within a budget. So some sort of, you know, give them some, you know, you allocate certain money for them and tell them that they have to live under this up beyond the age. So from there you
start, you know, that seed has been sown from there within them. So, sir, there is one thing. बच्चे पढ़ते हैं, पढ़ लिख के बड़े होते हैं, and then they finally decide, okay, this is what I want to do in my life or in my career. But what do you think as a parent, you know, can help them a lot? And can you give them that what you have, you know, planned, कि आपने कैसे किया with your kids, like with parents, what you should do as a
in my, I mean, I'll tell you the story of Indian parents, you know. I was just conducting an executive training. So they were senior executives and all. We were in a chatty mode. So he was just asking, sir, thoda bahut aapke bare mein bataiye. So I told him that I am an engineer who later on moved into finance, and I'm teaching finance here. So then I said, what were your kids and all? I said, I have one daughter who's studying law. And so, sir, aapne usko engineer nahi banaya. So that's the first reaction, that did she fail in engineering? And then no, I said she never tried engineering.
She never wanted to.
She never wanted to.
And I'm glad that, you know, we are meeting here and your student was, Adrija was our student.
Yeah, and she was like, we had, none of us ever told her that you have to do a particular thing.
Right.
What we always told her is that you have to good at what you do. Give your best shot at whatever.
Right.
And you have to love what you do.
Exactly.
Thankfully, she has found love in law. I mean, she has found it. That's what I'm saying.
It is very important to love what you do, but there's one more thing that you should always remember, that, you know, while you're planning your career, it has to be something very specific. और you cannot say this भी कर लेंगे, ये भी कर लेंगे, वो भी कर लेंगे. आपको एक चीज़ को सोच के रखना होगा अपने माइंड में कि this is what you are planning with yourself, और इस तरह से आप आगे बढ़ने वाले हो.
And life is dynamic also. I mean, once you are fixed, don't get fixated on a very specific thing.
Exactly.
More or less, aptitude-wise, this is the area where I want to go. And then be flexible, because the world will change, your opportunities will change.
Right.
So, I mean, because we are having heavy disruptions.
Yeah.
So, the kind of professions you think that this exactly, maybe they will change. But new doors will.
Yeah. I was just about to ask you about this. What about AI disruption, sir? What do you feel that, you know, AI is coming and disrupting a lot of jobs these days? So what do you think can be, you know, how the world is moving on future jobs and the scope of those future jobs.
You see, in the 1970s, there was a book called Future Shock.
Right.
Someone called Alvin Toffler.
Okay.
He came out with the book and he showed that, you know, change is inevitable.
Right.
And the best theory with change is adaptation instead of resisting, or so you will evolve only if you adapt to change, because there are some, and this change has been accelerated by technology.
Right.
You know, and he also showed that it's an accelerating change. That means not only are we changing, our rate of change is also faster.
Okay.
So to give you an example, say, you know, from the day of the first wheel to the you know, IC engine car, you know.
Right.
So that took more than 1,000 years, right? Thousands of years.
And now within 3 years.
And now, from car to jet plane, it took 50 years.
Right.
And now every year, our mode of communication. Now we have driverless cars and we have electric cars and all those things.
And even the you know, things which goes earlier like diesel, now we are thinking on electric, and now also lithium ion we are planning to do with that.
And it will come very fast.
Yes,
These change is very happen. So disruptions were always there and people have adapted and society has evolved. So there's no need to panic.
Right.
Now artificial intelligence is a biggest disruption because there's first time human activities, there is a fear that human activities instead of being aided could be replaced. You know, there is a sense of redundancy in a lot of professions, and it is true. I mean, a survey or some sort of, you know, analysis was done, and it was found that by 2033, they found out that there's a 99% probability that all telemarketing jobs will be redundant.
Right.
Even say paralegals. In US there's a paralegal. Here there is no paralegal. But that is, you know, significant for our young lawyers work. This junior lawyer work, that is legal drafting, will be taken care of by AI. So there is all, but I say that whenever there's a disruption, disruption means a major change.
Right.
A change that affects the way we conduct ourselves in business and in life. So, but with every disruption, with every change, there comes two things. There come two things. One is threat, the other is opportunity.
Exactly.
So whenever there is change, so what do? We have to understand what the changes are. We have to keep ourselves, you know, informed, so that we can plan for getting ahead of the threat. Right? For example, the jobs that I was saying, it was also found out that there was only 0.7% probability that archaeologist's job will be taken over by AI. So that means where human creativity, human understanding is involved, AI, I don't know how many years AI will take. Nobody is sure. In fact, it's very unlikely that in even 100 years they'll take over creativity of that level. So once I know this, I can prepare myself for the threat that paralegal job or legal. So I rise above it.
Right.
So like.
And I believe that even the legal field, because the legal field involves a lot of human perception, human idea. What are you thinking? How, you know, even a single case you need to handle, like every person will have a different solution to it. And that is what I say, that when I talk about the legal field, it is only operated through a human brain, can be operated through a human brain, because it gives you those solutions which no one else can give. Each human will have 10 ways of solving a similar problem. But yes, of course it is there, and I think that is one of the reasons I believe AI can never take over this legal field, because somewhere...
But there are fears, because even people are talking about robo-judge. So I mean there is talk, I mean US and others, there is a threat, but I'm saying that
we prepare ourselves.
You have to prepare yourself. It's not that the profession will be redundant. It will have to take new shapes.
Right.
So one has to harness the AI in a law firm, for example. Law firms will have to understand how to harness the AI in their favor. I mean, use the AI for better productivity and efficiency. Some jobs will be lost, but new jobs will come.
Right.
And other thing that I have not yet talked about is the opportunity that AI opens for new laws. Legal research is a new field. Understanding how to implement those laws will become a new field. Driverless cars, what happens if the accident? Who is
Who's
to be blamed?
liable? Who is liable?
Who is liable? The liability question. A metaverse. A metaverse where transactions are happening, but how to treat them?
Right.
Are people liable for fraud there?
Right.
So there are many open fields. I mean, this technology disruption brings in the possibility of new laws. So legal profession will have a lot more opening in consulting, in legal research, in various other ways. So as I said, threat versus opportunity. We have to prepare ourselves for the threat and take advantage of the opportunities. And only way to do it is be aware of it. And it becomes imperative now that people are more into fundamental of the law.
Right.
Don't take a shortcut. Learn the law very carefully. And jurisprudence has become the most important subject now, because that is where you can bring in difference, interpretation of law.
Exactly, sir. Interpretation of law. I think any student, when they enter the law school, the first subject they study is jurisprudence, because that is where they are taught कि आपको law को interpret कैसे करना है. With this, sir, it was lovely having you here, and I'm so glad that you could make us take time out today for us. And it was a great experience understanding about this field, understanding about law as a field, about AI, and I just enjoyed this session with you, and though it was quite impromptu, and that is what we liked it. Thank you so much, sir, for being here with us.
Thank you.